Not every state is the same. If you've learned anything about this election, every state is not the same. Every state holds primaries differently, how they vote differently. Even absentee ballots are extremely different. And so the great state of Indiana, which loves testing, I just want to give you an example of what we're doing in the great state of Indiana. So I sent out to get my absentee ballot by mail. So the first thing you get, of course, is this 2-page sheet of how to fill out your absentee ballot. The main thing, of course, is to use a number 2 pencil and don't use a pen. And talks about it has to be a number 2 pencil. And if everything is not filled out exactly as the sheet says, it can be null and void. So you have your directions. You also have your Bill of Rights, the absentee ballot Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights. So you have your absentee ballot Bill of Rights. So the other things you are supposed to have, what you are supposed to have to fill out this ballot, no, it is not just an easy thing that you fill out the oval. You have a candidate list. Here is your candidate list. So you have your presidents in Indiana, presidential candidates, excuse me. In Indiana, you have to declare if you're Republican or Democrat. So you have not only the presidential candidates, you have your party's different, representatives that may be. You may have a few pages of other people, that you may want to vote for. But you have all these lists of your candidates, which you are supposed to study them. And once you have studied them, once you have reviewed the entire list of candidates, you need to fill out your card. Now, as you can see, there's number 8, Bernard Sanders. Now, if I wanted to fill out Bernard Sanders, there's no oval. I can't circle it. Don't you want to know why? Because you have your your ballot card. Your ballot card, where there are numbers, corresponding ovals, and as you can see, 312 different ovals to fill out, because it takes care of the whole state and who might be part of that oval. So you have to fill that out. Now, once you fill this out in your number 2 pencil, being very careful, once you fill that out, you have to put it in your secrecy envelope, of which I have somehow misplaced. So I guess, your secrecy envelope. You put it in your secrecy envelope, which is either white or manila. You have to make sure that this has 2 initials at the bottom. They don't tell you who the 2 initials are. You just have to have the 2 initials. So you fill that out in that. Once you fill that out, then you get to put it inside your absentee security envelope. Not to be outdone, the absentee security envelope has many things on it as well. You have to say that you are voting in the primary, the general, the municipal, the special election, and you have to insert the date of the election. Here is problem number 1. We don't know what the date of the election is. We think it's going to be June 2nd. We're not really sure because Indiana has changed it a few times. So I need to make sure that I have the right date on here, because if I don't, of course, it can be thrown away. You have to sign your name. You have to sign the date that you did it. You have to print your name. You have to sign, the individual. If somebody's helping you and they have to be a lawyer, you have to put that on here and show if they are a lawyer, and you need to have their power of attorney number and all kinds of other things with it. So once you have that, this filled out, secrecy envelope filled out. Once you have all this together, you put it together, you seal it. I don't know if you have to have a DNA sample, but once you seal this, then you have to hand deliver it. Or you could mail it, or you could hand deliver it to your county office. So you need to make sure you sign it, that you hand deliver it, and you say you're entitled to do that, and you take it to them by such and such a date. This, of course, says May 5th, which we know is not the real date. So all of this is to say, for those people who love to take to Twitter and Facebook and social media and say, what is so hard about filling out an absentee ballot? What is so hard about filling this out? This is what is so hard about filling it out. Imagine, if you will, you're already living with COVID. You're already living with social distancing. You're already living with this fear. And now you have this in the mail. So imagine if you don't have your faculties about you, which on some days I don't. Think if you have any kind of ability. Think if you have any kind of difficulty writing. If you have a difficulty reading. Think if you have any dexterity. Think if you just miss a sheet of this. Think if you somehow put it in the wrong envelope. What if you put it in the envelope, you get to seal the envelope? There are so many little things in this. This is not the way to vote. This is not how voting should be. Voting needs to be accessible. Voting needs to be easily accessible to all who are citizens, to all who have that right to vote. And when states are allowed to carry on, and which they are allowed by the Constitution, to how they can vote, to how they can carry on elections, and we even know that some states now are trying to cancel their primaries, and every state has a different person who's in charge of their primaries. Every state election is different. There are, I think, 8 different ways that states have who controls the election. Very few states have the governor. Very few states have a board of elections. Some states have one person who is in charge of who can call the shots. If there's anything we've learned to do, aside from my cat, if there's anything we've learned to do, is we need to have fair and equal voting during this time. And God willing, we'll all be here for the next election. Thanks. Go Wolfpack.